Okay, we're going to try those proofs again. My camera stopped recording, so that's fine. So we have these three decision rules that we talked about in the previous video. And here we have some substitution. So marginal revenue in a competitive environment is the same as the price of the output. The marginal input cost is the same thing as the price of the input that we're deciding how much to use. The marginal value product is, if I'm using an input, the marginal value product tells me how much value the additional output is worth. And the marginal cost is equal to how much did my input cost divided by what I get out of it. So I think about sandwiches because I'm always hungry. So marginal input cost, I hire a worker for $10. They produce 5 additional sandwiches. The marginal cost of each sandwich is $2. So our goal is to get these three things to prove to you that they're really showing the same thing. But here we're looking at what happens when marginal revenue increases or decreases. Price increases or decreases. It just tells us, should we use more or less inputs in general? Should we produce more? The marginal value product and marginal input cost is specifically about one input. It feels like number one. Number 3 is more about, hey, if the price of the input or the price of the output changes, you're now out of whack. You're not maximizing profit any longer. You should use more or less of that input. So we can prove these really without thinking too hard, just making substitutions and seeing where they lead. So for number 1, if we start off with marginal revenue equaling marginal cost, and I just make random substitutions, I know that marginal revenue can be the price of the output, and marginal cost can be marginal input cost divided by marginal physical product. Sure. And if I say the price of the output times marginal physical product is equal to the marginal input cost, so I've multiplied both sides by the denominator. Oh boy, price of the output times marginal physical product, that's marginal value product, that's equal to the marginal input cost. Boom. So we've now proved that 1 is equal to number 2. Well, what would happen if we started with number 2? My marginal value product is equal to the marginal input cost. And my marginal value product is the same thing as the marginal physical product times the price of the output. And marginal input cost is equal to the price of the input. Right? And if I just divide both sides by the price of the output, the price of the input divided by the price of the output, oh, there it is, number 3. So now I've said that 2 is equal to number 3. Well, gosh, if 1 is equal to 2 and 2 is equal to 3, it holds that 1 is equal to 3 by that old thing, the transitive property, which still holds. So if I say, how do I get from number 1 to number 3? Well, let's start off with number 3. Oh no, let's start off with number 1 and see if we can get there. So we want to turn marginal revenues and marginal costs into inputs and outputs. So marginal revenue is equal to the price of the output. That's good. We've got that. So I've substituted marginal revenue for the price of the output. And marginal cost, the same as the marginal input cost divided by the marginal physical product. So that's good. I have that. So I have price of the output times marginal physical product, moving this over here, is equal to the marginal input cost. And if I want to get marginal physical product on its own, marginal physical product is equal to the marginal input cost divided by the price of the output. Well, I'm close. Aha! Marginal input cost is the same thing as the price of the input. So marginal physical product should equal the price of the input divided by the price of the output when we're in equilibrium. And voila, we've gotten there. Number 1, is equal to number 3. I've proved them all. Okay, hopefully in Zoom tomorrow you have some good questions about this. I look forward to it.